Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Kay, and in today's swatch sesh, I am featuring part number 4 of the nail polish comparison battle mystery series, quarterly series. I don't even know anymore, but we have made it to part 4. If you are new to this series, then what I do is I go through 4 rounds of comparable nail polishes. And the way that I like to do my comparison is by swatching one nail polish first, and that is so that you get the full experience of that one polish, and then we'll move on to swatching the comparable shade so that you can get the full experience of that polish. But the final shot is going to be a side-by-side comparison, so that way you get to see the similarities, right, and the differences of the 2 polishes. Now, in previous battles, I have done a great job at kind of staying on the sidelines and not giving my opinion as to who I think is the winner or the better polish and why, but I do want to change that for today's video. So with that said and out of the way, let's get into the battle. Bit of Bouboulé by Crack Polish. We kick off the sesh with the gold category. Now, Bit of Bouboulé is a more recent purchase of mine, but this little guy didn't come to play because it claimed the #1 gold spot in my stash as I swatched it for the first time. That's how much I like it. Now, the formula here is very good, no complaints, as is the coverage. Coverage is actually what you would expect from a micro flaky polish, which is what I think we have here. I think there might be some copper elements in there as well, but they're essentially micro size if what I'm seeing is correct. Now, overall, I see Bit of Bouboulé as having the perfect balance of golden, yellow, and bronze tone. It's not a pale gold polish. It is bold enough to where you can actually see it on my skin tone, which is part of the problem that I was having with golden tones. But now, let's move on to its competition. Goldie Fox by Arctic Fox. I'm sure you can already start to see why these 2 are comparable, but let's break this down because they are composed of very different things. Goldie Fox has a clear base, or so it seems, and within it are those very small gold glitter elements that you can see are doing a great job of scattering out really evenly across the nail. But with that, I will also say that because the only thing we're being served here is glitter, we also get a large side dish of sheerness that I'm dealing with here. This is why I'm having to move on to a 3rd coat, and I do think that most people will likely want to seek out this many coats as well, especially because it's such a pretty glittery color. You probably want all the coverage on it. Now, keep in mind, this one dries down with a gritty texture because of the glitter component, so make sure you add some glitter grabber to encase it, but let's check out the side-by-side. With Bit of Bouboulé on the left and Goldie Fox on the right, you can mainly see 2 differences, right? We have the noticeable textured appearance in Goldie Fox, whereas the element in Bit of Bouboulé lay flatter on the surface of the nail. Also, take a look at the color itself. The golden Bit of Bouboulé is so much deeper and richer, but Goldie Fox has the glittery sparkles, so it's kind of like a trade-off. But in the end, due to the richness of that golden color and the fact that I only needed 2 coats, I am giving this one to Bit of Bouboulé. Oasis by ILMP. Oasis is one of ILMP's new releases. It dropped in the Heat Waves collection, and I do have a full swatch and review up if you missed that. Now, what we have here is real simple. It is a light or sky blue creme with honestly some very impressive coverage and pigmentation. I wouldn't say you can get away with 1 coat though. These are not advertised as 1 coater, so you'll want to move on to a 2nd coat to cover up any imperfections and just achieve a really nice, even, smooth, creamy end result like what you see here. Now, you guys know I'm not fond of cremes or light colors like these, but keep in mind these comparison videos are made with you in mind to help you compare polishes that you might be considering buying. So with that, let's check out the comparable shade. High Roller by Cirque Colors. High Roller is part of the Vice collection and it's described as a neon mint creme, but it does have very visible notes of blue. Personally, I find this to lean just a little bit more blue than what I would expect from a mint color, but I know there's also a lot of variation when it comes to color. So let's talk about formula. It is very smooth and fluid. It's very self-leveling, and I would say coverage and pigmentation are on par with Oasis from ILMP. The end result couldn't be any smoother or pigmented. You may be seeing some imperfections on my nail, but that's just some small damage that I have on my nail plate. It doesn't have anything to do with the formula. So with all that said, let's move on to the comparison. With Oasis on the left and High Roller on the right, we can immediately tell that these colors are pretty different, right? Next to Oasis, High Roller definitely appears a lot more minty than it did alone. However, both of them have incredible pigmentation and they were full coverage in 2 coats, even though Cirque Colors formula was more fluid and self-leveling. Both of them react under UV light, but High Roller is coming through with that strong glow since it was intended to be UV reactive after all. It is a Vice polish, of course, whereas Oasis was never marketed to be a neon. Now, I will say I do prefer me a little mint green touch and a strong UV reaction, so I am giving round 2 to High Roller. Citron Jelly by Cirque Colors. Moving on to the jelly category, we start off with Citron Jelly, which is part of the Glazed collection. And what we have here is a lemon yellow jelly polish. Now, it's actually been quite a minute since I used a plain jelly from Cirque Colors, and I feel like I kind of forgot that the fluidity is so impressive. This polish self-levels instantly, like as you are applying it. It just gets to work right away, which is really cool. There's barely any pull or drag, even with this odd little brush that I have here. And the end result is a very glazy, jelly-like, squishy looking nail, which is all that we ask for with jelly formulas. My only complaint here is the color. I'm not a huge fan of this yellow, but let's see what its competitor has to offer us. Squeeze Me by ILMP. Squeeze Me is a new drop from ILMP. It is part of the Sweet Escapes collection, which I have a full swatch and review of if you missed it. And what we have here is the highlighterist of yellows. This is not a lemon yellow or a corn yellow color. This is a yellow that your eyes need to be prepared for. Your eyes weren't expecting this, and honestly, it is incredible if you like bright colors, that is. Now, when it comes to the formula, it's fair, but it isn't nearly as fluid or self-leveling as Cirque Colors. The viscosity here is a little bit thicker than Cirque's, but even then, my end result was fantastic. It is a squishy looking radioactive banana. That neon yellow is so eye addicting. It just pulls the attention towards it, which is something that really blew my mind away as soon as I saw this polish. So let's go on to compare the two. But are they even comparable? Okay, so the reason I even put these two together is mainly to show the differences. Both of these are worn in 2 coats, remember that, but Cirque's formula was better than ILMP's, even though ILMP did provide us with that nice paddle style brush. Now, under UV light, ILMP is giving a way stronger glow. This polish is much more fluorescent than Cirque's, even though you might not be able to see that on camera. You're gonna have to trust me here. So Considering the formula, the color, and the UV reactivity, I am giving this one to ILMP mainly due to the color. You know, as a professional yellow hater, I can proudly say that Squeeze Me is my all-time favorite yellow in the world. Cheeky Bottoms by Cracked Polish. Cheeky Bottoms, the polish that currently holds #1 pink creme, in my stash at least, and today I am comparing it against the previous #1 pink creme. Now, there's not much I can say about the color. It's actually really hard for me to describe it. For some reason, these neon pink tones are not camera friendly, but I feel like I got somewhat close. Now, I see this color as being a neon pink that sits right in between the cold and warm tones. Personally, I don't think it leans in one direction or the other. Now, when it comes to formula, it's a creamy one and the coverage is very, very nice. We have a lot of pigment here, so no complaints when it comes to application. All I needed was 2 coats to achieve all this pretty on my nail. Everything looks so nice and even. The opacity is clearly maxed out with the 2 coats, but now let's move on to the other pink creme. Two Piece by ILMP. So you couldn't see this in the bottle shop, but this polish is halfway done. I have used this polish very well, and I have to say, this is a very old polish, which I have never added any amount of thinner to, but the formula is still like new, which is kind of crazy. I kind of chuckled a little bit when I applied it because I wasn't expecting it to be this smooth and just like feel so fresh. Now, the formula is super saturated with this bright pigment, and so coverage is very good. Like Cheeky Bottoms though, it's not a one coater, which is okay. The best polishes aren't, so here we move on to the end result. It's incredibly bright and eye addicting, and I feel like this is such an iconic summer color, or maybe winter color if you're like me. But with that, let's get to comparing. With Cheeky Bottoms on the left and Two Piece on the right, you can immediately notice how much deeper and warmer Two Piece is. It looks a little bit more like a red pink when placed next to Cheeky Bottoms at least, which looks more like a pure pink tone. Now, under UV light, we have reactions from both of them, with Two Piece having a much stronger red tone. Now, when it comes to the brightness of the UV glow, Two Piece is also slightly stronger. So keeping the formula, the color, and the UV glow in mind, I have to say that Cheeky Bottoms is still my winner. I confess that I am just a sucker for the pink tone that we get with Cheeky Bottoms. TLDL, here are the polishes that battled it out on my YouTube channel, and as always, I like to remind that this video is not intended to portray dupes, just polishes that are in some way comparable. Now, personally, while I think they all have their similarities, I also think that these are different enough to where it would probably make sense to own all of them. Yes? Maybe no? Let me know your thoughts on that down below. I'd love to catch up in the comments. I do hope you enjoyed today's battle. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you on the new. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching so much. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.